Welcome everyone. Steve Dooley here, the president of Outdoor Hub Media, here in what might be a very familiar place, a very familiar setting, with a very familiar guy in his red shirt. So here we are at MidwayUSA's headquarters with its founder and CEO, Larry Potterfield. Larry, thanks for having us here.
Pleasure.
So before we kind of dive into what I think are going to be a lot of interesting and different aspects of your business, let me ask you about your family first. Can you tell me about Larry, his family, and how you all got involved in this business?
Wow. Well, let me take you back first and introduce you to Brenda. So Brenda's my wife of almost 42 years. We met in college way back when. So she would be an absolute centerpiece of why we're here today, because unless you have a good long-term relationship with somebody, it's really hard to concentrate on the things that you'd like to do because you get diverted all the time. So Brenda is a star, and she's been right beside me or in front of me for 42 years, leading me. Then our two kids, Russell, he's 37 now, and Sarah is 35. Both been instrumental in the company, both worked in the company. Russell is working and now runs the Battenfeld company. The family's been always involved in the company, and it's been a family company, and still is today.
So here we sit in your studio, in the GunTech studio. Let me ask you, why has this video work that you do? I know you film 3 days a week here. Why has this become so important to you and so important to the organization?
Well, we film 3 mornings a week if I'm not hunting. Okay. I think that I've always been a teacher, if you will, that I've always had a passion to teach people things. In a business, you have to teach people all the time because that's just the way it works if you're going to be successful. And I've always loved to share things. So I love shooting, reloading, gunsmithing, hunting, fishing. I mean, I'm just a country kid from Missouri, and these are the things that have always been important to me. So I don't necessarily need to share hunting stories very much because there's lots and lots of people filming hunting stories. But shooting activities, how-to activities in gunsmithing, how-to in reloading, and just, isn't this an interesting thing? Have you ever heard about this? So we put all this stuff together in terms of ideas, and then we try to reduce them to a short little segment that teaches something. It's not a show, if you would. It's just a little topic that takes a minute or 2 or 3 to tell. And as you can see, we've got a first-rate studio here, great people in it, and so we can take any idea that we have and literally turn it into a huge, huge visual presentation with multiple cameras and high definition filming that really teaches you how to do something. And that's very rewarding for me personally to share what I know, and we get lots and lots of comments from people all over the country when we see them at the shows. Gee, Larry, that's great. Now do this for us.
MidwayUSA, the name. I'm sure a lot of people would really wonder, how did you come across that?
Well, we were small business then. You pick Washington Arms, Lincoln Arms. Right. Human beings are not very good at picking names. That's the reason we name all our kids after Dad and Grandpa.
Makes it easy.
So we struggled for a long time. We're located in the little community of Midway, Missouri, an unincorporated community. So we said, okay, it will be Midway Arms, Inc. Okay, and that name wasn't trademarked anywhere in the industry, so we had it. And we applied for a trademark on it and got that trademark. A little bit later down the line, as the internet rolled along, now we're in a position, what kind of a URL do you want? Well, Midway was taken up by the Midway Games folks in Chicago maybe, early on in the internet process, let's say 98, maybe 97, 98. And so we are not early adapters, early adopters. So when we were ready to put our name and get our URL, well, Midway's already taken. Not a problem. We had some international work going on with some international partners, so we put USA on it.
So you mentioned the formulation of the URL, which then obviously had to come along with the advent of the internet.
Yes.
You'd been a leading catalog retailer. How and when did you really know that the internet was truly going to change the face of your business?
I don't think anybody knew that, notwithstanding what people might say in retrospect today. You remember when we got copy machines.
Yes, sir.
You remember when we got fax machines. I remember talking to one of our leading vendors on the phone, and he's saying, Larry, he says, do you think we ought to get a fax machine? I mean, so it's just a fax machine. it was a great thing that we were calling in all of our orders because we order every week. Now we're able to fax the orders in. And his question, do you think we ought to get a fax machine? Well, fax machines didn't really change the world for very long, for a little bit of time. We have fax machines today, but frankly, they're of no use today.
Right.
So now here comes along the internet. Well, so it's just a fax machine. It's just new technology.
Right.
Well, you're either going to adopt new technology or you're not. We certainly are not ever going to just run and grab new technology and think that's what it would be. But today, 82% of our business comes through the internet.
So what other major accomplishments as the founder and CEO of MidwayUSA, what other major benchmarks do you have out there of pride and success that you've achieved along the way?
The first and most important thing about Midway, I think, is the absolute insistence on satisfying customers. It's our #1 goal is customer satisfaction, and has been literally forever. But until we got into the 1990s and into the 21st century and really started pushing on modern leadership and management principles, we didn't measure customer satisfaction. We just did everything we could to satisfy customers. Now that we're able to do that, and now that the internet is here and it's easy to measure customer satisfaction, we're running 93 or 94%. We benchmark against different companies on the internet, and the very best practices companies in America are running 93 or 94%. Midway is absolutely at the top of its game in satisfying customers, and by design, and now benchmarkable, where you couldn't have benchmarked it 20 years ago. You can benchmark it today. I think that's our very greatest accomplishment here, is the #1 goal of satisfying customers. We are acing that.
Right.
We'll never get to 100%, although we'll always be trying. But that drives everything that this organization thinks about. How do you satisfy customers? How do you get new customers? How do you keep the customers that you have? That's the single greatest thing that we've ever done.